Happy Friday. So, my kids are getting to an age where they ask a lot of uncomfortable questions. They're uncomfortable for me, not for them. They're just like, whatever, what's this? Well, your mom never ever wants to talk to you about that with you, ever. But I have friends whose parents, like, when they were growing up, were like, they wouldn't talk about sex, they wouldn't talk about, like, periods, they wouldn't talk about, homosexuality or, like, anything. Like, Jesus frowns on you for masturbating. What? Calm down. So that created this weird, like, you end up getting this information from, like, your friends and from people who are less than trustworthy because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And so I try to answer my kids, like, honestly, even though it makes other people uncomfortable. I freaking was picking my kids up the other day, and my friend's sister's like, so your kids know about sex? And I'm like, well, we sort of had the sex talk, kind of, like, more like, this is how you get pregnant. And I guess they asked her, like, well, where's your husband? And she's like, don't have one. And they're like, oh, you did that thing that grown-ups do. Cool. And then just, like, moved on with their lives. And she's just like, I'm like, well, they're young, and I don't really want to talk to them about the intricacies of, like, what sex. But I'm not going to not answer their questions or be like, oh, you're too young to know that. Well, unfortunately, as a parent, your kids get in situations that are not comforting to you, and they end up doing things that you would not like them to do. And it's wonderful to think that my kids will never drink, and they'll never do drugs, and they'll never have sex until they're married, but that's not freaking reality. And honestly, I wouldn't wish my kids to stay virgins until marriage. Like, that's just whatever. For various reasons. So yeah, it doesn't exactly make me comfortable to, like, be like, okay, so this is how babies are made, and okay, we're talking about sex. Oh shit. Like, as I'm driving down the road, like, sinking lower in my seat because, oh my god. And but, like, they're just like, oh, well, you can only get pregnant if you're married. Nope. No, if you have sex, you can get pregnant. That's kind of biologically, like, why it's there. I mean, for other reasons too, sure, but that is how babies are made, and it doesn't really matter if you love that person or if you're married to that person or if you're just having a good time. You can get pregnant, unfortunately. And unfortunately, babies aren't always planned, and they're just like, really? Yeah. We'll talk about that when you're older, Bailey. So it's just like, but it was just so uncomfortable for me. But they're always like, oh, okay. And then they just moved on with their lives, and that was just that. And I would hope that I can keep, like, the communications open as long as possible, because I know when they're teenagers, they just start shutting down. Like, I don't want to talk to you. You don't know anything. You don't understand me. Not that I did that. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, this parenting gig's hard. Obviously, that goes without saying, but it's just so, whew. Oh, okay, so we're going to talk about that now. And I see these things that happen with, like, parents that are like, oh, you're gay. Well, you're not in my house. Really? Really? That's where you're drawing the line, is like that? You Christians? You're not, like, gonna, if my kids, like, murdered somebody or, like, raped somebody, well then, yeah, that's a pretty freaking messed up thing to do. If my son likes dudes or my daughter likes chicks or they like some combination there, so what? Yeah, that's not my choice, but I'm not them. They're not little mini-me's at all, even a little bit. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at with this parenting thing. We had the sex talk. Hopefully it'll come up again later. I don't really want to talk about it, but it's good for them to get this information from me, who, is a little more reliable than later on their idiot friends. So, yay, that's my entertaining story for the day. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and I have a book coming out on Monday. Yeah. So I'll probably do a video reading a sexy scene or some shenanigans. So,